Do you stay down here?
Not currently, just currently plotting something out. I've been gathering a few building supplies here and there where I can, trading off a few things, and taking that which isn't being used in others, and thinking of setting something up.
Taking building materials, or?
Mostly. I got alchemical supplies from the actual alchemists, things they're willing to spare, hardware.
But offered to you.
Yes, asked and they offered to give.
If I might maybe suggest clarity, there's been some cases of theft.
Of what exactly?
Various things, I think. The alchemy shop, for example, was robbed, I believe. Burgled?
Interesting.
I can never remember the distinction. And a few others have, I think, had things go missing. To spare yourself the trouble of the questions.
I see. Good to know. Well, unless it's planks of wood and a bit of paper, I don't think it was me. Everything else has been requested.
Fair enough.
So what brings you down here once again? We keep meeting like this.
The same curiosity, I suppose. And there are new people aboard, and thieves, apparently. So I am not flooded with confidence by the Sentinels most days.
You probably shouldn't be, to be fair.
No.
They're all volunteer guards.
Yes. I've been...
So you're just doing the rounds?
More or less. Looking for changes. I've been troubled by the overall lack of clarity about, well, what's going on aboard and what our purposes here are, and I came in search of things here on Kalypsia. They've not made themselves apparent, and even those who profess the same are disorganized. It's weeks past time that I begin to start investigating more seriously myself.
Well, someone should.
Mm.
I mean, we've seen a fair few people come and go investigating, and they found nothing.
I mean more broadly. About this
Your
place,
greater
of course, but
goals.
the dream and the Kalypsia and...
Wow. Things have been relatively active down here. I haven't seen who, but I know there have been some bodies passing through, mostly heading straight into the under, not staying. Most of the activity here has been just me.
Perhaps it's mostly workers. Maybe this is a shortcut of sorts.
Well, I'd imagine. Still, There's a number of people who seem interested in this space that I've noticed, so perhaps it's them. And let's be fair, we're not the only ones who are poking at things that we probably shouldn't poke at.
Should we not?
Well, maybe we should. I don't really know.
I think that if the crew and captain and curator wanted things not to be investigated, they should hide them. Or put signs up, at least.
Well... probably. But as it stands, no answers usually indicates that something's being kept secret. Or
Yes.
obscured for a reason.
I would understand it if
This
I
is
can.
irrelevant to that. What I'm working on here. So
Fair
if you'd
enough.
like to continue on, I'll walk with you.
I think if you've been down and say that things are largely unchanged, I'll take your word for it.
In this space, I don't very much go into the bowels all that much. Just getting things down here and trying to organize.
Well, then perhaps I'll continue. Certainly.
I might as well check as well.
Mm.
Rather not do all the work and suddenly something stupid happens. Any update on the bandit problem?
Have you heard about the mission?
Well, I heard some folk went down, some folk collected the artifact, maybe? I was unclear
Yeah.
on that part.
Holly has it now, to my understanding.
Well, I suppose that makes sense. She's, according to the people back at the village, god? Herald?
Well, the plan doesn't particularly seem to be to return it to Ramona. But
Oh, well, my theory bears fruit.
so there's some belief that maybe the curator wants it, and a number of people seem to think that apparently there's some confusion where the bandits have claimed that the leader of the bandits was a dispossessed house from Ramona, and the Celestial there, the mayor, at least, I guess I don't know that he is one, but whatever he is, that he was responsible for dispossessing this family, and that the relic was repossessed thusly. And, well, the idea being loosely that perhaps it was not of Ramona, though I find this unlikely, personally. Apparently, the bandits have admitted to having worked on the origin of the plague itself, so it seems somewhat questionable, the claim that they are simply sort of bystanders and also repossessing a relic that happens to be essential for the cure of the plague that they are creating, and thus we should consider it their property. But also, the bandit leader is dead now. Leto killed him, apparently. Executed, more specifically, from what was said.
That's a rock.
I'm not sure how encouraged I am about the fact that there's an errant brick on the floor.
Maybe it's a spare?
Maybe.
Wishful thinking.
But yes, Leto executed some of the bandits, more are aboard the ship somewhere.
That's
Brought
a
on, I
surprise.
think, as passengers, yeah.
I had spoken to Leto not too long ago. He said he wasn't very much this kind of man who wanted to use his weapons.
That would have been my thought as well. Apparently there was some controversy amongst those that went. I'm a little unclear on that portion of it. But broadly speaking, yeah, so they have recovered it. Many people seem to think that we should keep it and produce the medicine as though Kalypsia has some sort of vested stake, even though, frankly, people left the ship in furtherance of the mission for Ramona, so there is controversy. I think it's rather unimportant, personally. Not that the plague is not materially a problem, but more so that, well, Kalypsia does not have an artifact.
It's not our fucking business.
Holly has an artifact.
And again, it's not really our fucking business.
And we are not Legion. Legion?
No.
I think that's the appropriate word. I would that
I'm all for
there be some concerted effort, but it is not to Ramona. Or
it's
simply
not
to the
ours.
Ground.
Let them deal with it.
Well, I think strictly speaking,
requested to get it.
That is certainly the original individuals responsible for it, and myself, where I have able to have been and not recovering. I offered my assistance to the people of Ramona, personally. I would see it returned for that reason, I suppose. Absent compelling evidence of, amongst other things, for example, this house intrigue, realistically, returning it to Ramona seems most consistent with the promises of many of those aboard who are involved. It is hypocritical to keep it, I think. That's an academic statement rather than a moral one. There's a reasonable moral argument that we can do better good with it, though I would point out that the ship is rapidly moving away from the source of the plague.
Precisely. I would also argue that if we were to argue for keeping it, maybe we have the facilities to find a better way of producing this cure or antidote. But otherwise, not our business.
There's speculation as well that the curator, who at least authorized the posting of the mission by Leto, may well desire it.
I'd be careful. I think I started that rumor.
It was his mission.
I know, I'm the one who started the rumor that maybe the ship wants to keep it for itself.
Yes. Maybe. I don't know. It's of little enough import, I suppose. As I said, I consider it largely a distraction and one I no longer have any particular stake in. I was not amongst those who went, and so my ability to effect change in the matter is largely inconsequential.
As you said, we are not Legion. We don't all get to say.
Holly has an artifact. She'll decide, I suspect, or someone will take it from her.
They must be the ones who've been coming through in the night.
Hello.
Hello.
I hope you two are having a good morning.
Just
Oh,
wandering,
busy.
I suppose.
Hi.
Have you been the ones coming through in the middle of the night?
Coming through where? Here?
Through the sewers into this area?
No.
Can I ask what you're doing?
I've been keeping an eye on Leto after the mission.
I suppose if you wanted privacy, this is most certainly a place for it.
We can...
Less about privacy, just more so he works down here and I'm just keeping an eye.
Fair enough.
Well then.
Pardon the intrusion.
Right.
You're okay.
I suppose then everything is quite the same. Very dark in here.
Perhaps it's because they expect shades to be living here.
Oh, that would actually make quite a bit of sense.
Whatever it is. No, I was just going on.
Difficult to express medicine as well.
About half an hour from about that time, be around the sewers and see if there's something else.
I think I've ever seen an axe frequently used in a kitchen before.
For raw creatures, sometimes. I think.
I've seen it used on a chicken that was alive and needed to be turned into meat.
Rarely in a kitchen proper.
You shouldn't butcher and cook in the same place. That's how you got food poisoning.
Perhaps they have enchantments in here.
You always... this isn't a slight at you, but you always sound so... sad.
Stealing from a friend.
Do I?
I did not say that such a thing. But maybe
You
you could
do.
have tried to convince her.
Are we sitting?
Vaguely.
Possible, but not when pulled away for head injury.
Oh, well, certainly. Sprout had a heart injury, since you overheard.
I see. Is she alright?
Presumably, Hoppy is on the case, so she should be fine.
I see.
She's a goat. She'll be fine. Head injuries is
Also
part
true.
of the game.
Alright.
Any head injuries lately?
Which is less conducive to overall health. Certainly.
Well, their brains are designed for it. She'll be fine.
Sounded more serious than a normal head injury.
Maybe a more serious knock.
Maybe.
Jumped up too high. Hit arch outside a fountain like last time.
Maybe, but it sounded like she transformed or something, if I picked up on that correctly.
Yeah, she was in her big form.
Big,
I don't
big.
know.
Hi,
Where
you.
she had...
Yeah,
No, I have not.
it's quite impressive. Like this size, and this big. You really don't want to mess with her.
Where do you swim?
Certainly not an ordinary goat.
That much I could tell.
That would have been true regardless. You're not an ordinary bird.
Yeah. Yes, Mia, I was talking about her form.
So was I.
Her transformation.
Right.
Yeah. Not about her. I'm not calling her a goat.
Okay.
Yeah.
You have big bird form.
I do not. No. I imagine that she has some sort of inherent magic, if I were to guess. Soul magic. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. Unless she's using some sort of illusion or mind magic to trick us all, but I'd rather doubt that.
Probably
And
so.
she's more certainly physical.
Burned a bit a few minutes ago in here, but I think she's gone already. You might be doing the rounds already.
Long time since seen magic like that. Still have not.
It certainly is probably not very common. Seems rather hyper specialized.
Magic's unpredictable, let's be honest. It takes many shapes and it's hard to catalog. Variation, variety, mutation, aberration are all names of the game when it comes to the arcane.
Not hard. Just takes time.
No, but he was.
Why elves started. Have much time.
Yeah.
They certainly do.
That's exactly what he said yesterday too.
Always something new to learn.
On this seat at least.
True.
Well,
And
There's
enjoyment
always
in
something
doing
new
so.
to learn.
Yeah.
Yes.
okay, good luck.
Need to get new book.
Okay. Are you
So what are
looking
you
for
doing
any?
here? You're the only individual on the blacklist.
No, no, no. It says right there that I'm banned from service, not from coming in.
Not disconcerting at all.
I see.
He's worse off to look than me, I suppose.
Yes, what happened with that?
Suppose he is possible.
Yeah, I moved a bunch of cups around and he wasn't amused.
W-
Cups.
Saying that he was just working on the ship.
Yeah, like that. Mugs, I guess, is the word.
Sentinel? Oh,
Moved
Enough
is
to
a
ban you from...
gentle term.
Yeah, I hid them.
Stole
Yes,
is
yes. Stole is not correct, alright? I hid them around, I had no intention of keeping them.
so you sort of
I don't want some scrubby mugs.
did not
It's
see me here yesterday.
okay.
When I was around, so I just assumed of a couple
Oh, that I can... I understand now why you would be blacklisted.
Mm,
Still, you would think someone dressed like a clown would have a better sense of humor.
yeah. Yeah.
Confused about dress too.
Attention seeking,
Yes.
probably, if you were to ask me.
Well, aren't most bards?
Says the man half dressed in gold and
Well, I look fabulous like
Gaudy
this. Okay?
accoutrement.
I can't help it. So it's very different.
Right.
Spoken as one who has no desire for the attention of others.
I never claimed otherwise, alright? Doesn't mean, just because I may crave some attention, that it might not also be true of our discussion subject.
Both things can be true.
Still strange. Focus so much on cups. Must carry tankard. Like Tortuga.
Yes, though we have to remember that other places have a weird stickler for their own rules.
Morning, everyone.
Or fascination with their own items.
Good morning.
Morning.
Oh,
Certainly all that again, Does anyone know what the orcas have to know?
Not on items. Doubt.
I don't know, actually. I've never really...
Came with.
there are some places where having your own cup is actually the standard.
Exactly.
Like Tortuga.
Well,
Oh, really?
Others.
or anyone who
Did you
frequents
have your own?
traveling. She...
That as well.
Misplaced
No.
several times.
Is she covered in red?
Is she injured again, I
Well,
wonder? Or
given-
perhaps just not cleaned.
Head wounds bleed a lot. Yeah.
That is...
Head wounds bleed a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, please.
So it might still not be as grave as it might appear.
Have we any more issues
Hmm.
with missing supplies?
Did it just happen?
Well, and
Like 5
apparently.
minutes ago.
Mm.
Nah, it was just the alcohol. Was it not?
Hmm.
Don't know how
Oh,
true
that was
it
the
is,
last
but
other place.
from hearsay, I
She was very angry yesterday or the day before.
alchemy supplies
I think she was annoyed at the farm and the water hole that she was trying to build. So,
Most of it.
yeah.
She-
Maybe she's being stressed about things lately.
She wanted a water hole?
The alcohol back.
Yeah, she was digging a hole in the farm and filling it with water. And of course it, drained fairly quickly.
I don't know if we've docked yet at some point.
Actually,
Until we actually do settle down, we won't be able to fill our provisions.
it shouldn't do that.
Floating supply line.
Well, I think it was being absorbed by the dirt, and I don't know, maybe there's...
Well, yes,
Something-
I'm going to assume she used only so much water, but
Yeah.
theoretically, it would be relatively easy to flood the upper level of the ship.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure what's below
not-
the soil. I don't
Well,
want
it's
to
not-
start just making...
We wouldn't have a dome and active coverage from the elements if it was designed for drainage. It's an element that should not even be considered to a great degree.
Rather, how do I put this? I would rather not get a complaint from engineering that there's water leaking from the ceiling.
Well, that's if that's happening.
Well, you're-
honestly, it's their
Didn't the
fault.
pipes burst
Especially in
almost
a
immediately?
Place.
Almost
Did
immediately.
they? I had no clue about that.
Yes, but that was
Wouldn't they
not
be
transporting
prepared
water. That was
Specifically for a
Presumably.
farm
slurry
to
of some
have
kind.
an excess amount of water on it.
I'm not sure.
That's
I actually spoke
decidedly
with one
not
of the dwarves
ideal.
that built the place, and apparently they weren't happy
Yes,
about the idea of a
the
farm in the
engineer
first
was
place.
talking about it.
So
Mana slurry, I think, was the word
I
he
can
used.
say how
Whatever
much they
byproducts
really
coming out of the engine.
I see.
focused on it. Yeah,
If
he was
there's-
rather upset about the fact that they had to build one.
Morning, you lot.
If there's even a few feet of dirt, though, even a few inches, the amount of water that it could contain is certainly sufficient. It's dry. There's no rain.
Alright, strong grip. You was ever the same.
Frankly,
So,
I guess
same
it
old business.
depends.
Nothing new.
probably about as dry as sand.
No, I have to cut back on
Unless
my,
there is an irrigation system in place to keep the dirt alive and thus the grass, we have plant life.
I agree with her.
Surely, I assumed perhaps though that the irrigation system was the farm employees.
Could actually eat.
Not quite. Speaking of,
I mean, I've been watering
that's
my
the thing,
crops
though.
just in case.
It's not all the plants growing here are purely utilitarian. There's a fair few cosmetic ones as well. Trees, grass, shrubbery.
Yeah, but I think
That
what
would
Mia was
require
saying
irrigation.
is that the farm people were also taking care of the whole garden as a whole. Instead of as
Are
a
you?
farmer thing, but as a gardener. No,
Thanks for the company.
not really.
Well, presumably someone was taking care of it before everyone boarded. So presumably they're also doing it now.
True.
Maybe there's some sort of mechanical solution, but it seems
I had heard some windows and stuff being stolen a few days ago. No more instances of that have happened that you know of yet, has there?
it seems overly complicated to engineer such a solution when someone and a couple of buckets is acceptable.
The thieves, bandits, the scoundrels,
Mm.
that did this. They took away the best
Suppose it depends on your priorities.
the fire whiskey.
If it is for the cosmetic purposes, relying on individuals to do it might not be satisfactory. Consistent, reliable irrigation. Also, by that extent, irrigation is one of the hallmarks of founding a civilization. Not just carrying buckets from a river, but diverting it.
House as well might have been
What does
Sure.
I'm just saying, it's not a crazy idea to quote unquote over engineer.
Right, but
That's all.
I don't know.
I assume one of the goals would be that the cosmetics could change. A fixed irrigation system would limit that more heavily.
I can't be sure about that, but
Maybe.
I
This
don't
is
know, dwarves are
speculation.
weird.
I'm not
Maybe they
very good at
over-engineered it.
growing things.
the potions are secondary. You see.
It's not my major.
Potion specifically, or was it alchemical supplies in general?
I'm not clear about the details. Might want to ask somebody who works in the apothecary.
Fair enough.
The
Mm,
right. That
Oh,
one.
Johan.
concerning.
Fair enough. I appreciate you answering my questions. If I find out any...
What were we talking about before we got into a discussion about irrigation?
Same here.
Well,
And Jasper.
yes, there's a sentence.
Right.
Oh, well, head wounds. Yeah, I guess.
Important stuff. The
And
details
head
are
wounds.
over my pay grade. Let's say.
Fair enough. Oh, good morning. Good morning.
Oh, I hope she's okay.
We'll make sure
Again,
that I-
She's eating.
Caprini
She's
should
fine.
be
When you-
durable in that regard.
Secretary work, secretary deal.
Caprini. I'm unfamiliar with the term.
I thought you was on a break.
Is there anything you prefer?
It's the family she likely belongs to. Hooved goats.
Sheeps,
mm,
goats,
Ah.
things like that.
Do you mind?
Hooved mammals.
No, that's
Not
ungulates.
entirely. Yeah.
Lead the way.
It's more
Okay.
specific than that.
I see.
What
Understood.
was it? Yes, yeah. It's just more specific. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like a subclass instead of elf, non-elf, you know? Something like that.
Avian, canine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, well, no. Let's just leave it at that.
Certainly a useful aesthetic distinction.
Yeah.
Elves are of varying origins. At least dusk
Certainly.
elves are. I don't know much about the origin of the Twilight Elves. Not important.
Well, it probably has something to do with the sun setting.
I don't know if their nomenclature has much to do with. I mean, maybe.
If we were being very on the nose, it would be. Would also involve all dawn elves having to do with the rising of the sun.
Right, which the Eladrin certainly aren't. And dusk elves, not particularly associated with night
Isn't dusk and
elves.
twilight the same thing?
Yeah, maybe
Dusk
there's
is a
similar times.
period of time. Twilight is a... Dusk being the specific setting of the sun. Twilight being the period of light afterwards. The dimming, fading light.
Okay.
Before nighttime. But dusk elves would be more correctly named either, I suppose, moon elves or night elves. If you wanted to relate them to origins or anything particularly related.
I see. Why is that the case?
Dusk elves originated from the moon,
Oh, really?
like the Fae.
And I suppose that explains maybe why you and Molly got along so well. Sort of kinship, perhaps?
Maybe.
Am I going to look into my reflection and be very upset?
The logistics of getting to that stupid rock.
There used to be ways. They're closed now. They've been closed for a very long time.
The creations of new ones, though, through mundane or thaumaturgical means at least.
Is your Julie reflective enough and big enough for me to see my...
That is a challenge.
Nigh impossible, really.
Is this super transparent?
Nothing's impossible.
if
Just
the remnants
time.
of... What were you then, exiles or just colonists that got stranded after they closed? Or...
Stranded is more accurate.
I see. Right.
The way's closed.
Well,
Many of our kind were on this side. Rivendell was
I
formed,
see.
and associations with other races became commonplace.
Right.
It's
Just
inevitable
to
over
deal with the
time, I
rest of
suppose.
us.
I guess that's a way
That's
of
the joke,
describing.
Mia.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, if the elves themselves that got stranded here, or for that matter, the elves that may or may not remain on the moon haven't really opened them back, then what hope do any of the rest of them do? Hmm?
Now, just because they did it doesn't mean others cannot find a way.
Oh, well, yes, of course, but I would
There are many
imagine it would
pockets
take a
of-
lot of effort and time.
There are many pockets of individuals investigating this, certainly.
I mean,
Fair.
here we are aboard what appears to be at least a contained ecosystem, safe at least from the outside elements of high elevation, thin air, cold temperatures. I wonder how much tweaking it would take to get this there.
I mean, I don't know. It shouldn't be too hard, right? In theory.
It doesn't follow the laws of aeronomics. It's not aerodynamic. Its propulsion system is runic in nature, the best I can tell. It's not a device meant to fly, and yet it is flying. So what's to say it couldn't, with some alteration, go beyond that?
I don't know.
The academic,
Yes, we appreciate you giving this information.
those sorts of questions are part of what I hope to learn here over time myself.
Same, actually.
Yes.
Well, I suppose this is the perfect way to find out about something like that. Not many of these ships going around. One, to be
Yes, but there's also
precise.
not a lot of available information, besides sitting downstairs and cataloging the engine room piece by piece. And even then, there are sections that are intentionally obscured. There's a barrier that prevents you from getting close to the crystal array.
Well, I would hope so. Otherwise, any person could just walk in there and tinker with it. Like you.
Thus my aggravation.
Well, still. See you around.
In any case.
You as well.
I will try to get back the drinks from the scoundrels.
Yes, I'll help keep an ear to the ground.
I'll
let you know if I hear anything.
be heading to work, I think, to check in. So I suppose that I'll speak with you two later.
Thank you very much. See.
I hope it's eventful.
It rarely is.
Uh-huh. Yep. Yet to get a single card that really benefits the other. Really struggling here.
Alright, if I was those two, where would I go? That is the question. Where wouldn't I go? If the coin is around, I'd go just about anywhere. Or if you somehow convince me to go there. Which is how we ended up here. So I guess even without coin, I would go just about anywhere.
Pardon the cough. Excuse me. Sorry.
I suppose it is a little off-putting for people of certain backgrounds to be a bit off-put by how welcoming the Kalypsia tries to be. It's the one thing we try to pride ourselves on, at least what I attempt to do. I get the hesitation. I hope your sister can come around eventually.
I'll try talking to her more, but damn, she's stubborn. You couldn't tell already by that. But yeah.
Well, I'm certain she'll come through. In the meantime, we'll do all we can to try to make sure you have a pleasant experience aboard. And may I ask who exactly put the knife to your necks?
Oh, just some, I don't know, she could turn invisible, kind of like dark, blade had a bit of purple, on the shop right there, actually, the purple one, I think.
Aelfay.
Thank you for that. I'll be attempting to deal with that whenever I can. In the meantime, try to enjoy yourself.
Looks like we have more issues.
Well, I better go.
Are you looking to go in?
Well, I was looking to speak with you.
In your search.
Here or more privately?
Well, in your capacity as a caretaker of the library.
And there was more stowaways.
Thank you. Well, I simply wish to ask you how it was coming along, the translation that I asked of you.
Right. Sorry.
And you're fine.
Left it someone.
I see, thank you. It's very, very kind. At least that way I'll be able to discern about what books I may be interested in you further translating, now that I have some titles.
Of course.
And descriptions. How are you holding up?
In what sense?
Mentally, physically you seem fine, but I suppose physically also, how's your head after that whole thing?
I'm largely recovered.
I'm glad.
I'll be okay.
Right. Fair enough, Mia, if you say so.
There is not much to say on the matter, I suppose.
Right, things being what they are.
I have to hope that I've dissuaded Eli for now.
Well, he certainly seems to have... He certainly seems to be biding his time, probably licking his wounds. If not physical, then mental. Do you ever see him? No. Did you ever see yourself forgiving him?
Would there be an advantage in doing so?
An advantage? What a way to put it. I suppose no, if your worry is in that way about betrayal, then no, obviously.
He is opposed to me. He sees me as a villain to be thwarted or slain.
Most certainly.
That is not a forgivable offense. It is an existential one.
Most certainly. But I mean, if he changed his tune, if he came to his senses.
Though I don't question that he might be talked into it, I would question the veracity of it. Good morning, Finch.
Sorry for interrupting.
That's all right.
Good morning, Finch. I suppose that's fair. So you would struggle to believe it. Its authenticity.
I think that there are a great number of people aboard the Kalypsia who are perfectly capable of admonishing people.
Very diplomatic. And not an answer to my question. Not a direct one, anyway. That's fine, I won't push you into it.
I think that I challenge his authority and ego as much as his morals. I am a weak, mewling scholar, and he is the brave, courageous dragonkin. For me to oppose him is a slight against him. Not just against his goals here, his morals, his beliefs.
Fair. I suppose if he does say it that way, then yeah.
Hello? What can I help you with?
Oh, hello, Finch. Oh, wait, you work here, Finch?
Yes.
I'm sorry, did I miss a question?
Do you have any...
No, you didn't, Mia. Sorry, I was thinking about what you had been saying, it's all.
We have novice ones, but those probably wouldn't help you. I don't really have...
Well, fair enough, I can't really blame you. I'd struggle with it myself, if I'm honest. I suppose we'll see. Although if it truly does happen, it's certainly fine to the future.
Catalog as well?
Just
Those
the
two?
catalog, yeah.
Okay, I'll go grab it real quick.
I will.
Excuse me real quick.
As I said, I suspect that he has been chastised for the time being.
Certainly, he has been...
Check back in.
The stake has certainly been applied to him, mostly by your hand, if I might say.
We just need to make sure that it's
That was the point.
still doing good. That's all.
I'm sure.
Okay, let's knock that one down.
But other than that, I suppose we'll see in which way he takes it. There's essentially many ways to have that change him. For better or worse. For you, in this case.
I suspect his retaliation is inevitable.
Are you worried for your safety? Long term, I mean.
I think I would be foolish not to.
Oh, fair enough, Mia. Well, I suppose that's enough about Eli. Thank you for your translation. I will now speak with Finch, because I'm very curious. Finch?
Yes?
What do you think we should do with the artifact?
Well, I mean, for one, I know Holly has it currently. At least last I heard.
Yes,
she was
most
going
certainly.
at it.
I'm fairly certain she still does.
As for what we should do with it, originally, obviously, I was with the group that thought we should return it to the first town we stopped at, but I don't know if that's the case anymore.
Really? What made you change your mind?
Well, one, besides personal reasons,
Oh, I see.
they lost it once, and
Lost is not quite the adjective,
Now it-
but I get what you mean.
It's not
now it
inappropriate.
comes-
Just loaded with context. Sorry.
Yes, yes. No,
No, you're fine. You're right.
I'm perfectly glad that you're actually stepping in. I'd rather someone step in than just let me say something when it's... If you don't know everything, it's entirely false. But there also, from what I had heard from some of the people who was telling me of what happened when you all went to retrieve it, there's
What was
another group after it.
Yes.
And
Well,
that was using
rather...
it in the first place for something, so it's a bit worrying if the town gets
Yes.
attacked again for having it.
Well, it seems that the bandit leader of that particular group was merely a middleman sort of thing,
That's
and
what I heard.
the rather big boss of the operation apparently was using it both to produce the cure and to produce the Blackburn.
Do you know the name of the organization?
Well, we don't know if it's an organization or a title or a man.
Or group or title
but
or
I
whatever
do
it is?
believe his name was something Bane.
Either Bane.
No. Ether
Ether
Bane, right. Is it familiar?
Did the artifact... Was either of you there when they retrieved the artifact?
No.
I've heard a lot, though. No, I wasn't.
Well, if you've heard a lot, I can ask this. Was it in a relatively larger chest?
Oh. Well, I don't think I got the detail. Sadly. I suppose I could ask Zed, or you could ask Zed for that matter. I think he was there.
Remember when we were in Ramona, I was asking people about Etherbane? Were you there?
I
don't remember.
am aware of why you might have been asking, though I wasn't party to it in Ramona, at least. I thought your situation had occurred after, but before our second landing.
It was
How many vagaries?
after the first day
It's not
that we
mine
had
to
landed
say.
in Ramona.
I understand.
I had that dream where I saw what can now basically be almost confirmed as the bandits where we found them.
Oh, you had a prophetic dream?
Yes. And I also ended up carving the word Etherbane into the inn wall. From said dream. Which is why it's a little bit concerning, to say the least.
Yes,
that
most certainly.
Was prophetic and not just a dream. I'm only bringing this up because we had that conversation before about how there is a magic supposedly to give prophetic dreams, which might have been the case here. Don't know why I was the target or
dream
anything,
magic? Or is there a different magic?
I think my recollection of the conversation, at least that we have had, is simply that there must be some sort of mechanism by which dreams can be inflicted.
Mm-hmm.
Fair.
Because obviously
But-
so far people have been having the
Mm,
end of the world dreams. That
Indeed.
calls them here. So I don't know
Many
about that,
assume
which is
these
why it
are
was,
prophetic, but
this bit of a surprise that the whole Etherbane thing instead of
your dream needn't necessarily have been prophetic.
True.
It could have been
True.
simultaneous.
As in
When did
what
it
I was
happen?
saying
Did it-
was
What you were
Well, it
seeing was what was
happened
happening,
the-
or something that had happened.
What?
Right.
Let's see here. It happened the night I had it was the first day of we were at Ramona, so we had just tried
Well-
to do that whole ritual where
Ritual.
we were giving mana to the
Yeah,
flower.
so it was definitely prophetic.
Well, why?
I don't know if that ritual is what caused it, because obviously not everyone who took part in said ritual.
Right, I suppose he only
had a
saw the
dream,
bandits,
but-
didn't he?
I saw them. They were in the process of moving, so it could have been something that was actually happening at the time.
That's fair. Yeah, no, I suppose you're right, Mia. I suppose somewhere in the middle, I for some reason thought that you had seen some of us. No.
Well, no.
Others have
because
had
throughout
dreams
the
that have
dream-
featured other individuals. Not
I'm aware.
Finch's dream.
Yes, in
Yes.
terms of mine, I didn't see
Hmm.
anyone from the ship. I didn't even see Ramona at the time, so.
Fair.
Excuse me,
weird
sorry.
about it. I guess that's sort of one thing that helped confirm me knowing that the bandits weren't within a
Right.
day's walking distance.
Do you know
when
what
they all
would
split
be
up.
interesting? If the dreams are prophetic, assuming that the dreams are prophetic, I think it would be interesting to see if we could make them not come to be true. Right? Wouldn't that be fun?
I think you will
Probably,
find
though.
that a very good number of the people here believe that the dream is prophetic and are here to see what might be done about it.
Right.
Something to try to prevent it.
That's fair,
Yes.
but if anything else, at least this exercise would prove whether or not, if it is prophetic, we could do anything about it in the first place. So
Well-
do you believe in fate, sort of thing?
I believe that it has not been established that the dream that Finch had is prophetic, or necessarily
Yes, I
related to
understand.
the dream.
Right, right. Which is why I said, assuming that the dreams have been prophetic.
Right. ... I think there is no point in learning that they are strictly prophetic.
Really?
Well, what would it change?
It would make a lot of people depressed, for one.
Right?
I don't know, perhaps
it might honestly make
acceptance...
things worse if people consider things prophetic, because the average person, as you said, they might just get depressed and not want to do anything.
Well...
I guess the whole thing is, if the world's gonna end...
Would you want to know?
And if all actions are destined, then consequence is not meaningful.
Well, that's a bit cynical.
Well, right, but it is the
No, but
conclusion
it is...
of the claim.
It would be the conclusion that people would come to, and at that point they'd then ask either what's the point, or do other drastic things, since the consequences would have already been set in stone.
Fair.
Also, if you prefer optimism, most, I think, would probably believe that regardless of whether or not past attempts at changing it have succeeded or failed, they will still exert all of their energies. Cynics will not be convinced either way. Optimists will not change their behavior.
Most certainly, and it's a perfectly valid thing to think. After all, just because we haven't managed 5 times doesn't mean that the 6th, perhaps we went about it the wrong way.
Hence, personally, I would be more convinced about learning the nature of the situation, the calamity, rather than whether or not the dreams can be believed.
Right. I just said, one thing doesn't eliminate the other.
Certainly.
I just thought it must be a fun thing to do.
That is fair.
Just... obviously there's nothing connecting the situations at the current point in time.
Most certainly.
It might be a pretty decent idea to think that someone who calls themselves someone or some entity or that calls themselves Etherbane probably wouldn't be a good thing.
Yeah,
considering that the first day that I asked around about it, since no one actually knew that I was a group, most people assumed it was either some sort of sickness or
excuse me,
something. We all came to the conclusion that since ether is another name for mana, it's something that dissolves or destroys mana. That doesn't like
it sounds similar to Blackburn, so I couldn't blame people for it.
I think perhaps the propensity of people to come up with ominous names for things is significant.
Probably.
A great number of
some
historical
lunatic coming up
and fantastical figures.
Sorry.
Well, perhaps he's assuming it's a he, and a person is simply a hunter of mages. A rather trivial vendetta, but certainly one that would fit the name, and be of limited importance. It's my understanding that there is some goal of them to target mages.
True. For some end goal or whatever. Either way, at the moment, we don't really know much. Well, I guess only time will really tell.
And for that matter, we're leaving the region.
Whatever that called people to this ship will eventually show itself. At least make itself known, I'd hope.
Presumably.
To say the least.
Clearly, regardless of whether or not the dreams are prophetic, clearly something or someone gave the dream to a lot of people so that they would converge on the Kalypsia, so they certainly
Yes.
must have some goal. So,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure we'll find that out, if anything else, eventually, whether or not the dreams are true.
Are you both resolved to finding it out?
Well, certainly, I am. Well, what question are
but I'm at least
you
curious.
asking? What question am I answering? About the dreams being prophetic? About the goals of the individual? About...
I am so far of the belief that many of us here have an interest in understanding the calamity that was foretold, the dreams and the Kalypsia and its role in it. It is also my belief that there is not a very concentrated effort on doing anything about that.
I think that's fair.
I'm...
To be honest... Go. I thought you had finished my bed.
Go on.
No, well, I was going to... I lost my train of thought. I need to think about it again. I'm sorry. Go on.
It is... I am here to investigate the circumstances and to understand. That is what I do. Thus, I am contemplating gathering around myself an informal collective of individuals who are similarly dedicated. And
right.
Not that necessarily work uniformly towards anything, but
Well,
I would that information be shared and acquired and chronicled if it is had. And I am
I see.
a scribe. Perhaps it's... perhaps it's my learned patterns. But my inclination is to acquire this knowledge and disseminate it to those who want it.
Fair.
And I mean, I was already curious about it. I was already going to try to find out about it. Granted, that dream definitely made my interest skyrocket a little bit more.
Excuse me, sorry.
I would imagine. And to be honest, I've been treating this more like a vacation than anything else, even if I am very interested in the outcome. I suppose I could take a more active role. I have a few ideas. And I know that a lot of people have been prowling around. Go.
No, go on. Finish your thought.
Well, essentially, I think I've got a few thoughts on where I could take a look at things and maybe find out more information. However...
Hello, you two.
Returning the book Aina had. Wow, and she's wanting to pick out another one.
Well, feel free to look around, and if you need any help searching for something, feel free to reach out.
What's your favorite genre?
Hello.
Yeah, I'll see you here in line.
Right there.
Either way, count me in.
Understood. I'll need buy-in from more than one or two individuals, so I'm speaking with people intermittently over the next several days, I'm sure, but if there's anything that I learn, I'll try to disseminate it to those who want it.
I'll do the same then.
It's my hope that a centralized effort will be more productive than a group of largely
everyone
patient individuals
going their own separate ways, trying to figure things out when we... I mean, isn't sort of what we've all been doing so far? We've all just been one large...
This one.
Rabble. This one?
Excuse me.
This one right here?
Yes.
What is going on with me?
Oh, take it with me. Excuse me. Here you are. Just have it back within
Thank you.
within a few days as before. Enjoy, please. Or I do hope you enjoy.
Oh, well, I read along with Aina, so... When I can.
Fair.
When not scurvy.
I hope you enjoy the remembering.
When I'm not overridden with scurvy.
Did not hear.
I hope you enjoy the remembering.
Always interesting. Something new.
Oh, also those two new younger ones.
Mhm.
The foxes.
Yeah.
They're our employees, so.
Okay.
Just so you're aware, and let us know if, I guess, they cause any trouble here. Not that I think they would. Not intentionally,
Well,
at least.
Of course.
Just hold out a book and I'm sure they'll run away. They seem the type.
I'm not sure
Who
that's...
knows? It depends on the book.
It's a
But
joke,
also-
Mia.
No. I think the brother would be more than willing to look at a book. Sister, on the other hand, reminds me of me.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
Fair.
I can read over to
Oh, well, Faye.
Is she spying on the blacksmith?
Is she what?
Spying on the
Spying on the
blacksmith. I
blacksmith.
certainly hope she's not creeping on Law.
She's usually
Then
spying
again, I've
on
caught her
someone.
doing that sort of thing quite a few times already.
I think she's close to Leto as well. So.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Have a good day.
She's always skulking about somewhere.
Hmm.
God.
Oh, but
She's
she's
the worst.
not a bad person.
The fact that she's creeping on people like this, that makes me hard to believe.
She's just a bit shy.
I'm
No,
going to...
She's just a bit shy. That's all.
I can feel a cough coming on, so I'm going to finish one last errand and probably retire. I hope you both have a good day.
Have a good day, Mia.
Have a good day.
Apologies.
Fair enough.
Oh. Maybe I won't finish the conversation. Fuck me, what is going on?
Yes. Fast. Fast, dwarf. I don't know if you already went into the sewer. The last time I saw him, he was at the Eye of Time.
Well, yes, we had followed him in, and then he turned a corner, and then suddenly he was gone. He was very, very fast. Surprisingly so.
Maybe he went into the engine bay.
No.
If you leave me a minute, I can escort you there to see if he's there. Ah, yes, thank you. We'll be over here.
Alright, I think I'm gonna... I think I'm going to call it. Excuse me.
Good. But do you notice, Sprout, do you notice that both sides are dull and sharp? It is difficult to use swords against metal as this, but a good way around it. Exactly. And while that is also one point, the sharp point is for where leather might be on the enemy. Now, make sure to use the hammer side now. Good. You are going to be using two hands for this one, so it will be slightly different. It is similar to how you use this blade, but just ever so different. You wish to use